Okay, we might make a start. Good evening, everybody. Great to see such a superb attendance. I'm Steve Jane, so I'm head of the Central Clinical School, which is one of the two Monash schools located at the Alfred Hospital. The Alfred is the university's longest standing clinical partner, and we would think its most prestigious clinical partner. And certainly there's a higher density of clinical academics and academics on this precinct than certainly any of the other schools associated with the university. And we think that this is a great place to come and do honours, mainly because we think it gives you a different perspective to what you might get doing honours in other schools within the university. And the main reason for that is essentially what's right next door to us, which is Alfred Health. And for that reason, all the departments here are very closely aligned with the clinical departments. In fact, most of the research departments are professor directors, and that means they're director of the clinical service, but also a university professor. And so there's a really amazing integration, I think, between the academic aspects of the university life here and the clinical aspects, and such that many of the projects that are on offer, and if you've spoken to people outside, you'll, I'm sure, agree, a lot of them have a clear interface with patients and outcomes in clinical care. And so we pride ourselves on being the translational precinct, and that is that it's really about research that's going to impact on human health and do it in the shortest possible time frame. So as I said, there are two schools. The School of Public Health have already had a go, and so now we step in, and we're going to have a brief blurb from me, and then we're going to have one of our former honours and current PhD students to tell you about the student experience at AMREP, and then we're going to have our honours coordinator, Dr. Justin Hamilton, who's going to talk about the wheres and whys and hows of doing honours on the precinct. It's me. So as I said, the point of difference we emphasise is really this translational component of trying to have your research make a difference. Not just a difference to expanding the scientific knowledge base, but a difference to how we might actually manage the patients with the diseases that we're effectively trying to cure. And we have a broad array of clinical offerings here, and they're listed here. So allergy, anaesthetics and perioperative medicine, haematology, endocrinology, gastro, immunology, infectious diseases, pathology, neuroscience, surgery, trauma. And you can really work on anything from understanding what are the drivers behind acute leukemia, what are the problems related to surgical infection and the microbes that contribute to that, aspects of cardiology and vascular disease, diabetes, a whole range of clinical questions, important clinical questions that need answering if we're going to improve our treatment of the patients that we serve. Also, the School of Public Health, and Alan's had a turn and talked to you about those aspects, so I'll leave that. But I think the real point of difference at the Alfred is that it's staffed largely by outstanding clinician scientists who head the units, and within those groups, scientists who really share the passion about impacting on how medicine is delivered. So if you want to do honours on this campus, it comes in two flavours. You can either do it as your immunology major, so if you're doing immunology and that's where you want to do your honours, then you can enrol through our immunology stream. But if you want to enrol in any of the other clinical streams and all of the other departments that I mentioned to you, including cardiology, infectious diseases, haematology, etc., then you do that through the human pathology honours stream, and Justin is the coordinator for that and he'll speak about that shortly. So a lot of the issue we have is the students being comfortable about leaving the mothership. I don't know what it is, the bond that you all have with Clayton, but you all have a suspicion of leaving that suburb and coming to Paran. So I usually show this slide because this is our surrounds. We have just down the road Paran Market. For the shopping aficionados of you, we have Chapel Street. We have Albert Park Lake, Faulkner Park. It's a pretty beautiful precinct close to the city and plenty to offer. But I do understand why you love Paran, why you love Clayton, because it does have Dandenong Road, it does have deserted factories and burnt out cars, so there is a lot for you out there. but we like to think that there is some incentive, at least from a lifestyle choice, if nothing else, to come to the precinct. So what is translational research? And for those of you who watch a bit of television, this is obviously house on the left or on the right as you look at it, and mouse on this side. And that's really what the translational approach is. It's from mouse to house. It's the idea of how can we go from basic studies in either animal models or cell models into impacting in human disease, and do that as quickly as we possibly can. And really all the departments within the school focus on exactly that objective. The other carrot I'd like to sort of dangle at you, and it's probably a little premature because many of you are just starting to think about the journey into honours, but the school has recently developed, and I say recently because it's been about a 5-year journey to get this up and running, a new PhD program. So this is actually badged by the university as a separate PhD in translational research and translational medicine, and it comes with some coursework which exposes you to a range of disciplines that we think broadens your career opportunities away from just heading down the path of being a scientist who runs their lab, has to get into the NHMRC system and so on, which is becoming a more and more difficult path. And this gives you exposure to a range of other scientific disciplines that are inherent to translational research, which include things like commercialisation, development of small molecules into medicine, intellectual property, scientific media, a whole range of different things, and I think gives you a much broader possibility in terms of what career paths might be. So you might do this PhD and end up in biomedical industry or pharma. You might end up working for a legal company advising on commercialisation. You might end up for a newspaper writing on scientific discoveries or whatever. But we think this is a much broader range of training that you're going to get from just doing a standard PhD where you work in a lab for 3 years. So for those of you who are thinking beyond the next step, honours and where you go from there, we think this is a really new and exciting opportunity for you to maybe think about a slightly different career path than just the well-worn and increasingly difficult path down the NHMRC granting system.